Thank you for the attendance to the August meeting of the Infrastructure Services Committee. This meeting will be audio recorded and those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. There are to be no other recordings of this meeting without the prior authorisation of the committee. Mr. GM, applications for attending the meeting via video link are there?
No, nil received.
Nil received. Any apologies?
Nil.
Nil. Disclosure of interest?
None received.
None received. No public participation?
No,
Is there?
no applications for public participation.
Okay. Business items. So we'll move straight into the business items. ISC 8.1 on page 3. Nick, Matt, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Mr.
Chair. I just came from another committee meeting where we had Madam Chair. My apologies. Look, we have just provided you with an update on various activities in the water and sewer area, as you can see in the report on page 3. I guess if the committee has any questions, we're happy to try and answer those for you.
Do we have any committee have any questions or comments? I just draw your attention to page 4 that it's just really highlighting the fact that council is still continuing to investigate alternative options, including the package treatment plants. Is any further information on that? Update on that? What we're doing? What council is doing?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We're talking to a consultant in relation to a decentralised wastewater system at the moment. So we've just begun those discussions to see if that's an alternative option for Cassilis. And we're basically holding off on undertaking any further community consultation until we have the outcome of that. Then we can go out to the community and look at all options, put all options on the table and get some feedback from the community.
Okay, that's very good. That's what we need. Thank you for that, that comment.
Mr. Chair, just
yes.
one on page 9. I think that paints the picture pretty clearly, doesn't it? We're going to struggle to get more funding.
Yes, I think that's correct too. And if we don't get government funding, then I'm not sure where this project will go. However, I believe that council, it's reaffirming the fact that council has been active in trying to obtain further funds for this project. And I'd like that to be known and noted. Okay, do we have a mover and seconder? Okay, any further comment? All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. I'd like to turn over to page 10.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if we can just, the minutes are being taken by Karen, but she's offline at the moment. So just to assist the minute taker, if we can just read out the mover and the second, if you can just call, the names of the mover and seconder so she can capture those things.
Okay, let's just go back to ISC 8.1. The mover was Councillor Collison and the second was Councillor Clout. It was moved and addressed and voted unanimously for the recommendation. Turn over to page 10, ISC 8.2, Works Program, Infrastructure Services. Matt, Sam, with both of you, but Sam, you can have the floor. Would you like to do that?
Yep. Okay, thanks, Chair. Likewise, I'm happy to take any questions regarding the report put forward.
Just on page 11, the street lighting. Now, this is to do with the faulty lights, etc., and that sort of thing. Do we have any update on when the Venica Street lighting will take place? I thought that was passed, or was in the depot, passed by lighting. Do you know anything about that? Maybe Mr. GM, you may be able to enlighten us. Is that correct?
I'd have to take that one on notice, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if I could just interrupt.
Yes.
You're referring to the lighting for the pedestrian crossing
Yes.
in Venica Street? Yes, so I am in discussions with Ausgrid about that at the moment. I know we have made application to Ausgrid previously to try and get that issue addressed.
Right.
So I'll
So
follow that up.
Thank you. It's an ongoing discussion, but it certainly was going to happen. Yeah.
We're currently having discussions, so we'll see what the outcome of those discussions are, and that will determine whether it goes ahead or not.
Okay. Thank you. Page 13, the damages claim on the top, AGRN 98087 event, 6th of November. Do we have the funding for that? Has that come through, or is it still pending?
Through the chair, still pending.
Okay.
So we are in constant communication with them, trying to push it through, but yeah, still pending. They've had one visit to assess our claim so far, and I think they're going to come out for a second visit.
Right. Would that include some of the additional damage that was done in rain events after the November? Or is that only just on the 6th of November one we're looking at?
So we've got two events here.
Yes.
So no additional repairs to damage after July event. So the 18th of July is the last event. So any damage from that time to now, we can't claim.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, anyway, that's a fair scope from the November 1 to 18th of July. Anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Do we have any comment or questions regarding those pages? If you wish, we could turn over then to page 17, and we've just had some discussions that on the grading program, just trying to identify when the grading program will take place. The headings will be on our next printout for next month's agenda. So, Sam, can you upgrade us on some of the things that have taken place or proposed to? I mean, there was one there regarding the Redwall Road. There's nothing to do with that on this. That's Merriwell Redwall Road to indicate when it's going to be rated. Have you had any complaints or anything regarding that road, the washouts, etc.?
Not directly to myself, but that doesn't mean that there hasn't been a CRM gone into staff. Yep.
Could you?
So yeah, I can follow that
just
up
to make sure. I think that it is quite a amount of damage down that section of that road. I do know it, and it's yeah. Anyway, the particular person that's complaining described it in a certain way that it was perhaps maybe exaggerated, but I think there's a lot of truth in it anyway.
Yes, Mr. Chair, so Sam, this is supposed to add on to that, is it? Yeah, the road name, yeah, righto. So you need that, yeah, cut off, righto, thank you.
So through the chair, we'll tidy this up so it looks more like the previous version that we had. Yeah.
Don't make it any smaller for you.
No.
Print.
There's-
Yeah, okay. Is there any further comment or questions regarding the program and what has taken place? Are we all happy with that? Do we need, can I have a mover for ISC 8.2? Alison McPhee has moved, seconded by Councillor Taya Clout. Any further comment or questions? There being no further comment, those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. I'd like now to turn over to page 22, ISC 8.3, the Strategic and Capital Works. Sam, you do have the floor again.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So again, we've got our attachment there, which is outlined outlines the project. So if you've got any concerns or queries, I'm happy to answer them.
Just on page 22, year-to-date actual 297, the expenditure 550. You might just explain that to those listening, etc., and those here. Those not being able to meet the particular amount is caused by what's holding us up.
So what page were you on?
I'm on page 22.
Just while Sam's looking
Yep.
that up, Mr. Chair, I
all
might also refer you to your A3 document because it's actually got updated information. So just by way of explanation, a couple of councillors have asked for the A3 version earlier. One of the difficulties we have is getting all the dollars in for our scheduled date being the second Tuesday in the month. As you can imagine, a lot of the costs are still being put into the system this early in the month for the month that's just proceeded. What you'll see on the A3 version is the year-to-date budget of 274,000 in capital works. We've actually spent 343,000 against that. So the percentage figure below that shows 125% of our year-to-date budget. So we're actually ahead of budget. We've spent more than we had anticipated. You'll also notice that the total budget of 51 million, or almost 52 million, the year-to-date budget for July, you would expect, if that was a equal spend throughout the year, would be 1/12. That's obviously less than 1/12 of 50. The reason being is that first month of the year, we're doing a lot of planning, a lot of design, not as costly. In the last part of the year is where all the costs get loaded up. So it's not an equal phasing, but you'll see that even with the lower phasing that we've got, we've actually spent more. So we're actually ahead of our programmed work.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. That's very good. Look, we might just go through that then. And if it's possible to get this CAPEX capital works expenditure out as early as possible, I think it is definitely an asset and to us to understanding what's going on. So if all I can say is staff, if they can do their best.
Councillors, what will probably happen is it will probably very rarely be ready in time when the main report comes out, but we'll always endeavour to try and get this out as soon as it's ready prior to the meeting. So you've got that as an additional attachment, but in rather than a couple of hours, hopefully at least 24 hours before the meeting.
I think that's reasonable. If we can do that, it'd be even much better. But anyway, just you can't do the impossible at times. Just do your best. Okay, let's turn over to page 1, line item number 1, down to 47. We have just a moment or two to browse that. Are there any questions regarding the items listed? Any? Any questions on that page? Not just turn over to line items 48 to 94 on page 3. And do we have any questions or comments on that page? Line item 63, Campbell's Corner roofing. There were some leaks that seems to be taken care of. Is that correct?
Yes. Through you, Mr. That was some time ago. Yeah, that was some time ago.
Yes, that's right.
There wasn't a very large storm event and water did get in, but prior to that, the leak was caused by pigeons nesting, blocking the downpipes, which has been removed.
Okay, thank you. That's very good. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Line item 84 and 85. I mean, we discussed that earlier, the transfer station. When's that proposed to take place, Mr. Director?
Mr. Chair, it's subject to a development application being submitted. Yeah, so we're
Which who
preparing
will be
that.
doing that?
That's staff will be preparing that
I see, so
application
we
and
can't
submitting that.
cancel. Okay,
That's correct. Yep.
that's good. Thank you. All right, let's turn over the page then to page 4, line items 95 to 141. Are there any? This would be part and parcel of line item number 104, Vinegar Street, Merriwell lighting pedestrians crossing. That's what we've been talking about earlier, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. Down in the items down from one Parks and Gardens, there was, what is happening about those trees that were cut in different configurations and going down the alongside the road into Merriwell coming from Scone, Aberdeen.
Yeah. Through the chair, they're gone. So they've been cut down.
Cut down.
Last week sometime.
That's what I thought. They were rather good.
Yeah. So Mr. Chair, they were cut down last week. There was some low stumps still in existence. I spoke to Lee on Friday. The stump grinder will get those and the ones on the other side of the road, which are much older stumps. And he has a series of shrubs and bushes to replace them under the power lines.
Thank you very much. I might add that as we drive roads, we're supposed to keep our eyes on the road. Thank you so much. Anyway, anything further on that page? If not, we'll go over to page 5, 142 to 188. Line item 157, Merriwell Olympic Pool Facilities. There was some work to be done there last year. Has that been carried out? Upgrades and that sort of thing, I think, to the dosing mechanism. That, do you know anything about that? Was it done? I'm just suggesting that before we get close to opening the pool, would be good if whatever modifications had to be done would be done.
Through the chair, yes, there was upgrades. I'm not 100% sure which ones you're talking about specifically, but there was an upgrade to the dosing system. We did some work in the plant room to fix some leaks. So those sort of works were done last financial year.
The roof in the, I think the change rooms, etc. I think there was leaks in that. Was that? That's going back 12 months. Was that attended to?
Through the chair, yes. Through
right. Okay, that's
maintenance.
Great. That's good. Thank you. All right. Do we have any further comments on that page? We'll go to line items 142 to 188 on page 5. Any comments or questions regarding that? If not, we'll move over to page 6. Line items 189 to 235. There has been some comment regarding the footpath and cycleway at Merriwell, Sam. Is it proceeding as per plan, or has there been some hold-ups?
Through the chair, it's probably not moving as quick as we'd like.
Right.
But that's so we're working with the contractor to manage some of those time restraints.
I did notice, I travelled that on Sunday, that route on Sunday, and noted that I think the road reserve was pegged out on Hackett's Lane. Now, the footpath, is it going on the southern side of Hackett's Lane?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Southern side.
it'd be a challenge on the northern side to get that level. Yeah, It would be much better.
Yep.
And now, will that be concrete or will it be tar section?
It's an extension of the pavement, so it'll be bitumen.
Right, okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. And the causeway?
It'll be just a sealed causeway at this stage.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Could you just fill me in also in front of the Sporties Club? What were they doing there? Was that building the curb and gutter, or is it just laying a pipe? I'm not sure. I saw some blue pipe there.
Current work is the water main upgrade.
I see.
However, we've got some curb and gutter work to do there also.
Yes. Yeah. Would that follow on? Would council be doing that, or the contract?
Council,
Okay.
well, council will do part of the work
Yeah.
along with contractors as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also the widening of that bridge.
That's being undertaken by RMS, or Transport
Yes,
for New South
yes.
Wales.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So will the walkway be widened? Will the walkway be widened across that Whitney's Creek?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
That's a good outcome. Okay. Any further comment or questions?
Question,
Let's
Mr.
move
Chair,
on. Yes.
228. 228
228.
Union Brook Road. We've got a complete upgrade. I see there's a bit in there. I'm very concerned about this road. Before we don't soon get going, we're going to have none of that 5 million left. A couple of questions. Has there been a decision? Number one is where they're going to get the material from. I've asked several times about Mitchell's Pit. If it's suitable, is it not? I don't think anyone knows.
Everybody answer that?
I can answer the question in regards to the pit. As far as the timing for the works, that might be better answered by somebody else. So where we're at with the gravel pit, as you're aware, we did the initial testing. The results didn't come back great. So we've gone in and requested quotes for additional testing. We received one quote. However, the pricing of it requires us to get another two. So, we're sort of looking at spending, between 40 and 50 grand on an investigation to see whether the gravel is worth extracting. Then if it is, then we've got to decide whether how we go about extracting that. If it is blasting, then potentially we'll need a DA. So there's a little bit of work to do there yet still.
So, Mr. Chair, I may have to finish this discussion off air, but this has been going on for years about whether that gravel's suitable. To spend 50,000 to find out whether gravel's suitable, we've got rehab work there to do anyway. Why wouldn't we use the dozer and start the rehab and look at the materials underneath? I can just see we're still trying to source gravel, but we're going out for tender. I just can't quite fathom it. But anyway, I'll leave that one for you to take on notice. So go down to 232, probably breaking the rules a bit, but Barrington Forest Road, I see there. We cleaned those culverts out up that road probably 6 months ago, as much as we could. I believe we may as well not went there because most of those culverts now weren't cleaned completely through. The mouths were cleaned and half of those mouths are just backing up again. So the question is, why didn't we do the mouths and then get the water blasters back to complete?
Through the chair, we actually did send somebody up there with a drill and drill through it and clear them out. So maybe we didn't get 100% of them, but we would have got a good 80% of the ones that we attended to drilled out.
And I'll leave that one. I'd like an inspection done of that because I find it a bit strange.
So through the chair, we have had several rain events again since we cleaned them out. And I agree that probably maybe 80-90% of them are blocked again. So it's a runoff from the side of the hill down the gullies, wherever it's coming from. It's potentially blocked them up again.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I'll leave that one off air, but I've got some doubt around that. 235, 598,000 to Pages Creek and Sergeants Creek. Have we gone anywhere spending that before the costs blow out?
Pages Creek. So to date, works carried out is we've finalised the scope of works and we're ordering materials.
Thank you.
Could either Sam or the director comment on just what can be done about those pipes? Because that's really one of the most essential things with water drainage is pipes that they can't carry the water because they just wash everything out. So what's the answer, or proposed answer? The solution?
Through the chair. So we've identified the pipe sizing probably is not where it needs to be.
Right.
So moving forward, we're putting bigger pipes in so they can self-clean easier. However, those pipes, it's about maintenance, and we just need to try keep on top of it.
Is there any plan to get those done in the near future?
Through the upgrade up there. We've got some funding, so we've got projects identified up there for works. So that'll be the time to renew the infrastructure up there.
All right, okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments on that on page 6? If not, turn to page 7, line items 236 to 282. I have a question on line item 239, Bow Street, Blacksland Street and McCartney Street. That there's still, I just looked this morning, there's still water on that little crossing. What I'm asking is that going to last, or is it, if we have a water event, which wasn't a severe one, but it was still quite a severe one, it continues to seem to wash out. Is that, what can we do about it?
Through the chair, staff have advised me that there was a little bit of scouring, so we'll fix that, and I'll inspect it again when I'm over there and see what can be done.
And the street going across the that crossing, it was partially blocked off, which was correct when the flow was high. Going to McCartney Street, is there any? Because it's another waterway there. What can be done with that? Could you, in other words, could you have a look at that when you go out, please, and let us know? Well, perhaps in the next one.
Through the chair, we've identified that as one of the damages through the
Right.
The flooding. So hopefully we can fix it through the flood money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's good news. All right. So if we turn the page to page 8, and any further comments on page 7, turn to page 8. Line item 283 to 329. Do we have any questions or comments? On that page? All right. There being no questions or comments, the summary is there on page 9. Do we have a mover and a seconder for ISC 8.3? Move Councillor McPhee, seconder Councillor Clout.
Could I
Any
just,
further comments?
yeah, I'd just like to say there are near on 300 jobs on this sheet alone, and the amount of detail that you can answer is just phenomenal. I'd just like to thank everyone, because every single one of these lines represents a multitude of hours of work, and I think that needs to be recognised.
Yeah, look, I concur with that, and it's an enormous job, an enormous task, and I think that we understand Sam and Gavin and the other guys and ladies. It's certainly a big task. So we voted on that, haven't we? Yes, we have. Yeah, okay. Let's turn over to page.
Mr. Mayor,
Didn't we
Mr.
vote?
Chair, we didn't vote.
You interrupted me. Never mind.
You-
Thank you.
You did
All
ask.
those in favour,
You did ask
please-
for comments. So
Okay, I did too, and I do apologise. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. Thank you. Let's turn the page now to ISC 8.4, Willow Tree Road, page 36. I guess, Gavin, we're going to look at you. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Essentially, we've been working on some background documents, the management plans and finalising tender documents. Apart from that, there's been no real movement until funding's announced. So I can take any questions you have, but there's no real movement except some background documents being prepared.
Mr. Chair, comment. I think it's time that the GM and I did a visit to someone. Well, I know we've spoken to our local fellow, which is the state fellow, which is their funding's available. We've spoken to the Labor fellow from the bottom end. We don't seem to be getting anywhere. The Facebook page is saying that we're holding things up. So I think we need to, between us, we need to start absolutely banging the table on some politician's desk.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I can probably add to that. I received a letter this morning also from Barnaby Joyce. He was acknowledging the letter that we sent to the federal minister, Catherine King, and he said he has also sent a letter to Catherine King asking for urgent consideration of his funding. But I concur with the mayor. We have, as well as lobbying our own local members, we've actually gone and lobbied our federal Labor member for the Hunter, just outside of our LGA. But we can continue to do that because at this stage, as Gavin's pointed out, all the paperwork, all the design, all the documentation is complete, and we're just sitting around waiting for an announcement.
I think that, thank you. I draw your attention to page 37, where it says lobbying both state and federal members for funding. I think this should be known. I'm gladly to read them out. General Manager has written letters to the Honourable Catherine King MP, Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, Regional Development and Local Government, and the Honourable Christy McBain MP, Minister for Regional Development and Local Government and Territories. Copies were also sent to Dan Rappioli MP, Member for Hunter, and the Honourable Barnaby Joyce, Member for New England, and Dave Lazel MP, Member for the Upper Hunter, and the Mayor and General Manager have also met with Michael Papadopoulos from the Transport to New South Wales. The reason I draw that to attention is the fact that council is so often condemned because they're not doing anything. How much more can council do other than to say, listen, I'll have a gun with me, I want the money. You can't do it. We haven't got the funding. And this time, it was done correctly because we knew how much it was going to cost. It was designed correctly, and we went out for funding. The other way, which we just given an amount of money and said, oh, we're going to do it. And of course, it failed. So I just think that council and the directors and also the general manager and mayor should be commended on for the active way in which they have tried to obtain support and funding for this project. It's very vital.
Could I just also add, Mr. Chair, that the money was actually promised. That's why we went ahead with it, and it's now being rescinded with a change of government. So I think that also has to be noted. We've not done this because we didn't assume we would get the money. We were promised the money, and now we're waiting on that to be coming through.
Exactly. Agree very wholeheartedly. Mr. Mayor.
Just add that, Mr. Chair, I believe there's two ministers down there that we sent letters to, sort of said they knew nothing about this, which is a massive concern.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for those. Any further questions or comments? A mover and a seconder, please. Moved Councillor McPhee, seconded Councillor Cloud. Any questions or comments? Further questions or comments? There being no further questions or comments, do we have a vote? All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. If you like now to turn over to page 41, ISC 8.5, the Drought and Emergency Response Management Plan. Matthew, would you like to take this, please?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this Drought and Emergency Response Management Plan, it's been developed for the Upper Hunter Water Utilities Alliance, which consists of Singleton, Muswellbrook and Upper Hunter Shire councils. The purpose is to provide guidance to staff when managing drought and emergency events. It's to inform the community of the issues associated with drought and emergency management and the community's role during drought and emergency events. And it's to have a sound plan in place, being a part of the New South Wales Government best practice management requirements for water supply. The document is based on 4 major strategies, which is the Drought and Emergency Impact Prevention Strategy, the Drought and Emergency Preparedness Strategy, the Drought and Emergency Response Strategy, and the Drought and Emergency Recovery Strategy. It looks at both the demand and supply actions, and includes looks at the trigger levels for water restrictions as well. And you'll notice on page 94 of the agenda, there's a whole list of recommendations that have come out of the strategy. So there's a lot more work to do by council. That's quite a list of actions. The plan also talks about establishing a drought and emergency response management team as well. So there's quite a bit in here. The recommendation is for council to endorse the draft plan and then to place the draft plan on public exhibition for 28 days. And if no submissions are received, to adopt the plan. So that's the recommendation to the committee for endorsement.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions, councillor?
Through the chair, I just have a couple of questions. The first is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I couldn't find where it mentioned, for example, times of when you're allowed to water your garden, which is what we currently have. So giving the residents information about clever water use or efficient water use, but maybe that's something we have to adopt. Also, I'm a bit concerned that we don't start with level 1 restrictions until we're at 50% capacity, if I've read that correctly, which just coming through one of the worst droughts on record, or the worst drought on living memory, that's not very much water before we start implementing restrictions. The other thing I would question is, because the Glenbourne Dam actually services a multitude of councils, like we have done in the past, which was maybe frowned upon, but we kept our level 1 restrictions, whereas other councils that were drawing from Lake Glenbourne didn't. So is this now going to be that everyone follows this, or how much? Because it doesn't make sense if we're on level 4 and someone else isn't on level anything. So how does that actually work? Are we all going to now be adopting the same restrictions, or does the council still decide that, which may not make sense if different councils are doing different things? I know I've got 3 questions in one, but I've just got a couple of, just a few concerns about it. Water usage is something that's very close to our hearts, I think, after the big drought we've had.
So through you, Mr. Chair, in terms of the trigger levels, I note the table on page 73 doesn't actually have the hours for garden watering. So that's something we probably can take back to the back to the consultants and the other council to see if something could be included in that. The idea, I guess, is to have consistency across the board, across all 3 councils. So you apply the same, you have the same triggers across all councils. I'm not sure if there was other questions you had, Councillor McPherson.
Just the 50, I think it's 50% storage availability level 1. It just seems to me that that's an awful lot of water that's gone before we start implementing restrictions. That concerns me greatly, actually.
Through Mr. Chair, there's something else we could take back as a
Yeah,
comment and get some further advice on that.
I think that'd be good if we did. Yes, I probably the last drought has just brought to the minds of most people that just the importance of water and just how scarce it is. And we've gone through now a wet season and continue a wet season, but you see that will fill up a lot of the shallow aquifers and all the other aquifers there too. But there is always, Mother Nature always seems to even things out, and so we will have droughts again. And we can't predict the severity, but they will be droughts, and they will be. We have to be prepared for them. So while I guess being on the land, that it's really to how to manage droughts comes down to the owner and manager, but the council has to have a strategy in place for trying to mitigate and to advise on things for the public. So yeah, do we have any other further questions or comments?
I'll just ask you, so could we put this recommendation through, well, move it, but then say, but have those recommendations gone through, or those those questions go through to the committee, to the board. If you take, like, if you could take them, can we write that down in the motion? Or is that just
Okay.
assumed?
Through the chair, there could be another dot point, I guess, in the recommendation that consideration be given to those issues.
All right, can we do that?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
all right, we'll have, will you move it, councillor McPhee?
Yep, so I move that fourth recommendation be to consider putting in water usage time frames, to reconsider the trigger capacity levels, I think it is, percentages. And I think that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Do you have anything? to
Yes,
add
and
to
I
that?
will, that's, I don't quite know how that's working, because it was just more, I mean, there's no point in having a universal document if we're all going to be voting differently on level restrictions. So that's just something to clear up, I think.
Okay, Matt, would you like to just read that out, or that's what we're going to vote on, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So it's the council endorse the draft drought and emergency response management plan. 2, place the draft plan on public exhibition for 28 days. 3, adopt the plan if no submissions are received. 4, consider including water use timeframes and the trigger levels for residential water restrictions. be
Does
increased.
that address your concerns? Yeah, okay. Okay, it's moved by councillor McPhee and seconded by councillor Clout. Any further additions or questions or comments regarding that? We're ready to vote on it? Okay, all those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. Thank you for that. Now if we turn over to response to previous questions on page 120. I don't think that there was. Was councillor Campbell happy with his response, and what about councillor McPhee? You happy with the answer? Yeah, okay. All right, I'll need to move in a second of that. Moved, seconded, moved, councillor Clout, seconded councillor McPhee. Any further questions or comments? Being none, all those in favour, please say aye. As against, I think the ayes have it. Turn over to page 122, ISC 8.7. The recommendation is that the Infrastructure Services Committee note the question received and responses. As councillor Burns not here, is there any comment from councillor Burns regarding that? Otherwise, we could. I think it was fairly comprehensive. What was the statistics? Happy to move. Seconded, councillor Clout. Moved, councillor McPhee. Seconded, councillor Clout. All those in favour, please say aye. As against, I think the ayes have it. That concludes our agenda. I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for your questions, your comments. Thank you. And thank you for your attendance.